Can you hear me now, Bill Noman? Are you there? Jam TV show number 99. Is that right? I don't know. Welcome to Jam TV. I think it's show number 99. I think it was show 97 last week, but I was wrong, so it's 98. And Bill Noman couldn't get his mic working, and there he is. How you doing, Bill?
I feel like we've been hung up on like 96, 97, 98. I feel like we've been on that for like 6 weeks.
I took a couple weeks off because I was in a weird funk about Jam TV, which I'm over now for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, it was there was some deep conversation last week. That was last week, right?
Well, you know what? I would have canceled the show, but you and Randy were like, "No, we're gonna take you out back and shoot you," or whatever you said, right? I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, so you do like it, you know?"
Well, I don't know whether that's just the reflection of Randy and I don't have a lot going on, or whatever.
Exactly. Believe me, I'm out here in Pennsylvania in the woods. I don't know. Although I was in Connecticut today, I was teaching. And
are you teaching Bridgeport? Is that where?
I was teaching in Bridgeport at Bullard Haven Tech, which is not a Bridgeport school. So it's a high school, but it's a tech school. So kids, they also get like,
right.
They do cool stuff at tech school now. Like before it was like wood shop or whatnot. Now it's like they do auto shop and hair cutting and stuff like that. But they do like masonry and carpentry, but they also do graphic design and they do criminal justice.
There's an old saying that's saying that the meek shall inherit the earth. Now the people that went to tech school shall inherit the earth.
I'm telling you, I wish.
We don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to do anything. You do, but I don't.
I went to Pinky's Out boarding school. I went to Switzerland on top of a mountain. You had to take a cable car to get there, like a Wes Anderson movie. But I got out of school not knowing how to do anything, like nothing. I couldn't balance my checkbook. And these kids, like I have one kid, she's 15. She's like teaching herself to play the piano and we're doing electronic music. And she says, I'm going to be in the FBI. I'm doing criminal justice. She's 15 and she's like in her second year of criminal justice at tech school. And she's going to go and be in the FBI, this kid, Uh-oh. Somebody muted himself. Oh, no. Did I mute you? No, you muted yourself.
But I'm not, like something, you know what it is? Crispin gave me this blue ball mic, I love the mic, but the attachment to that square attachment that goes in there, it's loose.
Aha.
And sometimes it falls out and sometimes it does stuff. And I think when it falls out, it goes on mute by itself, maybe? Is that possible?
Mine is loose and when it falls out, it goes on mute. Yeah.
I guess it's just it's a design flaw, because yours falls out, mine falls out. Okay. Hey, when it falls out, just push it back in. That's what.
There you go. Tape it on.
There you go.
That's the nature of it. Look, the only thing that works is an XLR connector with a button. And you.
Yeah. You can't mess with that. And I actually had a. I don't know if I spoke about this last week, but I had a friend of mine gave me a microphone that I loved, this Audix microphone, and I had a gig and it fritzed. It just sort of, I heard a little pop, but I thought it was because people were hooking up like disco lights on each side of the stage. And I thought maybe something had shorted or something, but that couldn't be because all the other attachments in the amp were working, and I tried different attachments.
Well, what happened? It popped and it went boom, gone, right?
Got it, and I tried taking it apart. I tried looking at it. And then I realized, okay, for $99, and this was a gift. So for $99, I can just get a new one.
I've got a suspicion of what it was. And God, this is like boring television, but I don't mind. There's only one.
Come on, this is like Car Talk or whatever that show was.
It's like Car Talk. All right, so here it is. I've got it for you. It could be that the phantom power button was pressed on the amp.
It doesn't require that, though. I mean, it doesn't require.
But if it's on, it could go bah and pop your. If you heard a pop, the phantom power can burn the mic out.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's possible. I went through a whole thing. It's like does it actually have a battery in it? Is there something else in it?
I'll bet
And then
if you heard a pop because of the lights, it was probably phantom power, and that was what you heard.
Yeah, that was my theory at first,
Bummer.
but then I saw that the lights actually had batteries, and I'm like, what the, anyway.
Anyway, but so okay, World War III broke up. By the way, before you say anything, for the listeners, oh my God, I already got a face like this. I go face, right? On the other thing, people. This is a comedy show, okay? Don't take anything we say seriously. People get mad, like, you didn't say the right thing. Like, I'm not CNN, all right? I'm not Joe Rogan. This is a comedy show.
I remember last week there was like a thumbs down or like a screw you, like
it was an angry face, like.
And I know exactly when it happened. I know. I think it's when we were talking about vaccinations and like everyone should get them or something. I'm pretty sure that's where it happened.
Yeah.
So to me, my spin on what's going on here, if I may be, irreverent in case of in the face of a disaster, is that this is Throwback Thursday, and Putin's idea of Throwback Thursday is let's have a land mechanized invasion of a country in Europe.
My God,
what could be more retro than that?
No, what I worry about, cutting to the end of any comments I might make or may not, but cutting to the end of it is. This is a potential shit show because you're talking about F-35 strike fighters. Like, let's put this in the context. Like, I grew up 250 miles. I grew up from like Washington, D.C. or whatever to New York. Like, that's the range that I grew up from this place. Right. And it's close. And you've got F-35 strike fighter wings like 100 miles from Russian helicopters and planes. And if something goes wrong, like, this is potentially very bad. Like, you don't want.
I mean, it's absolutely potentially bad because the mutual deterrent thing doesn't apply to lunatics. Like if you don't respect the card game, you'll bet. You ever play cards? Like if you play a poker game where the stakes aren't high enough, everything all of your skills about cards, all of that, it goes out the window because you're playing against some guy who just wants to play cards.
Right.
He's not folding. He should be folding. You've let him down the road. He should fold and you should win. No. He just stays until he finally gets a card and then whatever. Well, to me, Putin is just a guy that he's just out there flipping cards. He's just.
I don't know. See, Putin. Here's one thing about Putin.
No, he's smart. He's smart.
I'm not agreeing with Donald Trump, and everybody's mad that Donald Trump said he's a genius. He's actually potentially a genius because he is a professional statesman, right? I don't like him. I don't like what he stands for. I don't like what he does. He's a slimy mafioso in the most giant way, but he's been doing this for decades. He was the head of the KGB before that. And he's a sneaky motherfucker, that guy, Putin. And so he knows how to play stuff. And my read on this is as follows. My read is that let's put it in a different context first. Let's say the Chinese, who are our buddies, right? They manufacture my iPhone. They're made in China, right? The Chinese make a deal with the Canadians for screw the Monroe Doctrine, right?
I already responded to this on Facebook.
Right. They make a deal with the Canadians and they say, we want to put a military base in Montreal. Then the U.S. would be like, no, you can't do that. And Putin has been saying to the West for years, you don't get to flip Ukraine into a Western European ally with nuclear weapons and Article 5, protections and all. You don't get to dance with my ex-girlfriend. Yeah. And the U.S. is like, we don't know what you mean. We just love democracy. Like, come on, we know
it's his version. It's his version of the Monroe Doctrine. Which is really a global version of the kind of thing you see when people are renovating in your neighborhood, and it's like not in my backyard. Right. That's what this basically is.
The Molotov Doctrine in his
as the Cuban Missile Crisis was, as all of this stuff was. And the thing about Putin, though, he really is clever, and you can even use the word brilliant in kind of the Hitler way, in that he has realized that nationalism trumps, if I may use that shitty word, nationalism trumps everything. So basically, The guy on the street in Russia, he's okay with Putin. More than that, they like him. They actually like him. And they just like him because they think he's going to restore the world to like Dostoevsky and Tolstoy and like whatever, you know.
Although I dated a Ukrainian woman for 8 years, and I sent her a message today, and she was like, I don't have time to talk to you. I am crying. She's Ukrainian living in Moscow. And she's like, this is a shit show, like bad.
You still have her 800 number?
Yeah, exactly. Got to be careful what you type to somebody, you know? Oh my God, you know, it'll end up in their file. Speaking of being careful what you type.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And Ray.
Oh my God. Yeah, so we're talking about...
I want in on this conversation, and I'm not talking about Putin. I'm talking about you guys geeking out on microphone gear.
Microphone. We both have we have blue ball microphones.
I know. And I know what you mean. The Audix OM7.
I have the OM3, I think it was, or maybe it's a 5. Or
is that the flat wound microphone? Or the
see, now you started this. Everything comes back around, pal. Now you got to pay. That's
5, I think. I can't even read it. It's 2 inches in front of my face, and I can't read it.
I only got them because they said they were the least prone to feedback in a live situation, and they are. But like your experience, Bill, they're finicky as hell.
Well, I can only say that I'm playing Rory's, and some guy puts this in the tip jar. A guy that I know, a guy that I like, and he's a friend. And he puts it in the tip jar, and I'm like,
Mike. He put the mic in the tip jar.
He gives me a tip. He gives me a mic in the tip jar, and he's not a musician, so he somehow came across it, you know. And then I was gigging with it, and I just remember, you know, in gigs, people that I played with before, they go like, wow, your voice sounds really good. And I said, well, you know, this is a new mic. And I go like, what did it sound like before? You know?
Yeah, right. No, when they work, they're great mics. But yeah, Simonelli.
Yes.
Hey, Ray. How you doing?
Doing good.
Ray, I got the invite to play tonight, but my car's in the shop overnight.
Oh, man. Bad timing.
I know. I have no fucking car.
Good excuse.
They need to redo the $2,000 rear engine seal that they did 3 months ago that leaked again.
Freaking German garbage cars. Oh, my God.
I know. No shit, right? I mean, it is an 07. I got to hand it that. But it doesn't have a lot of miles. But, well, it's under warranty. But, you know, it's so complicated. I can't.
And in the garage, it's not likely to get a lot of miles either. You know.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's a big job. An oil seal.
Oh, they got to take the tranny out. And,
good.
No.
Did you break down in the middle of nowhere somewhere?
No, I just did. It looked like an incontinent car wherever I parked. Whenever I pull out of the space, like, you know,
that could have been you, but
like,
I mean, you know,
like an old car with a large prostate. It was just leaking.
He broke down in the middle of nowhere. It was actually 3 miles from where you live at.
That's right.
Exactly. All right, Bill Nolan, do a song for us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a music show after all.
I am going to do a little song written by Gordon Sumner, aka Sting, and it's ripped off the pages of the headlines. In Europe and America, there's a growing feeling of hysteria, conditioned to respond to all the threats in rhetorical speeches by the Soviets. Mr. Khrushchev said we will bury you. I don't subscribe to this point of view. It's such an ignorant thing to do if the Russians love their children too. How can I save my little boy from Oppenheimer's deadly toy? No monopoly of common sense, either side of the beautiful fence. We share the same biology, regardless of ideology. Believe me when I say to you, I hope the Russians love their children too. There's no historical precedent. Put words in the mouth of a president. There's no such thing as a winnable war. It's a lie we don't believe anymore. Mr. Reagan says we will protect you. I don't subscribe to this point of view. Believe me when I say to you, I hope the Russians love their children too. We share the same biology, regardless of ideology. What might save us, me and you? I hope the Russians love their children too. Oh, did I pooch that? But the sentiment was there.
The sentiment was definitely there.
Yeah, you did fine, man. That was great. And nice selection. Yeah, nice timing.
The man in the tinfoil hat. I love that.
Yeah, I had to get my foil hat out. I couldn't open the show with it. People be like, "That's it, angry icon." Even though it's a comedy show, he's being too serious, too flippant about this. You know?
Why are
People
people getting
would
pissed?
have thought, you just had your hair frosted or something.
Exactly. And I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good Reagan era song. It's like,
That's a hard song. How many freaking ridiculous chords are in that song?
I haven't counted them because I just threw it on the list like about an hour and a half ago. So
I never really, I don't know. I didn't pay attention to him, and I kind of like the Police, and and over time I've started to realize just how talented that guy is. And actually, what a really good bassist he is, and what
He's
a
a
good
real good
bassist he is
bassist.
to be able to sing and play the way he did. So I now have full appreciation.
he's
Did
one
he
of the
use
few
the flat
bass players
wound
that-
strings or the round wound?
No, I'm sure he's using rounds. That's a round tone. Now.
He's also one of the few bass players that is really kick ass on the lute. There aren't a lot of
Yes.
guys that can.
I gave up the lute long ago. Yes,
The lute, there's too many strings. Like why?
that's right. I got confused.
I
I
actually
tried
went-
a 5-string and I couldn't handle that, so I'm not going to
You
handle.
know, he had a Broadway show, and I
Yeah.
actually saw that twice. I saw it once at Joe's Pub,
Wow.
and then I saw it on Broadway, and it was a great show. And unfortunately, because it wasn't about a Disney character, it had no chance of
right.
succeeding.
Or he doesn't want to do it anymore. Was he in the show?
He was not, but the guy Jimmy Nile was in it, who's a good singer and a good actor, and it's a great. I actually have been working on one song from it that I will play at some point.
Cool.
But it was about, he grew up in a place where they built all those ships
Mhm.
in England, and there are all these fabulous archival photos of like this typical British block. And at the end of it is this giant freaking ship that's just like looming at the end of the street, and that's where they built all this stuff. And
Wow.
it's something called The Last Ship, and I really enjoyed it. But
That's cool.
There's you mentioned Rick Beato at another show. The guy with the kid, the genius kid. He has a Sting interview, which is really good.
I saw that.
Yeah.
It's really good. How did he get that
I
interview? I
will
don't
say
know.
I was minor annoyed at the pompous.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a little bit of that.
No,
And
he-
how did he get that interview? Like, he's not a big enough guy to get that interview.
He's got mojo now. He's got momentum, and yeah.
So-
plus at his heart, Sting is he is a horse's ass. He's like an intellectual. He's all of the above.
That's what I
But
mean.
at his heart, he's an amazing freaking musician.
Absolutely.
And I don't mind if he quotes, Greek gods in his stuff, because they've got a groove, and he plays with players, man. Like the people, Vinny Colaiuta, and
Jesus Christ, I know. Yes.
his guitar player Dominic Miller. I mean, these people are
And
players.
I guess he knows theory, and he started out in jazz, which I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know he was in a funny movie. If you ever want to see a movie that never gets played ever,
Oh, what was
called
it?
Stormy Monday.
Wow.
Oh,
And
goodness.
Stormy Monday, Melanie Griffith is in it. I think Tommy Lee Jones is in it. And he plays a club owner who hires this like Czech avant-garde band, but it's a really good, he's like a club owner / gangster kind of guy. Stormy Monday. The
All right.
director was good. The director's like Mike Figgis or something. It was like a good British director.
Wasn't he also in Dune?
I think
Oh,
he
yeah,
was
yeah.
in Dune, yeah, which was a lousy
Oh,
movie.
horrible.
But-
But he was a
but
good villain
He
in
was
it.
good. I think.
I mean, I like sci-fi and stuff, so I watched it. But that's not.
Yeah.
We should let Ray play because he's going to have to go,
And I couldn't go
and
for
we
the
can come back to
the remake.
It's your show. But
Do you have mahi mahi on the grill, Bill? Can we let Ray hop in?
Let Ray go. Ray's got places to go. People.
Ray Ciminelli,
places
how do you
We
do
still have time. Yeah. What time is it? No, we're still good.
No, I want to do.
There
I
are
wanna do that.
chicks just waiting for kissing.
put
and
you in.
Ray's
We've
gonna
kept
No,
Right.
let Bill do. Let Bill do at least one more song.
All right, you do one more, Bill.
Oh, you're
and then
calling
Ray will do
me Ray?
it. Yeah.
What the fuck?
I want to hear one, and then he'll do two, and then you do a couple more.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I'm gonna do the opposite of a deep cut.
All right.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who could easily hide. I don't have much money, but if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live. If I was a sculptor, but then again, no, or a man who makes potions in a traveling show. Oh, I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do. Gift is my song, and this one's for you. And you can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I wrote down the words. How wonderful life is when you're in the world. I sat on the roof and kicked up some moss. Well, a few of these verses, well, they got me quite cross. But the sun's been quite kind while I wrote this song. It's for people like you that keep it turned on. So forgive me for forgetting, but these things I do, you see, I've forgotten if they're green or they're blue. Anyway, the thing is what I really mean. Yours are the sweetest eyes I've ever seen. And you can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down the words. How wonderful life is when you're in the world. Hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down the words. How wonderful life is when you're in the world.
Well done.
that was
Light it
cool.
down. Thank you.
That was really good.
Yeah, no shit.
I have a fabulous little arrangement for that. I've worked on that a bit to sort of incorporate keyboard and guitar and like worked out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he doesn't do a lot of like straight up bass stuff. He's doing, C sharp to play the A, like that kind of thing, F sharp to play the D, that kind of thing.
I can bass geek on that too. That's an upright on that song.
Oh really?
Is it? Yeah, and a great.
You can hear it at the end, especially. You could hear it. It's that warm, upright tone.
Yeah.
Do you ever play it upright, Randy?
I can't because of my elbows and my physicality. It's like I can't play guitar because I can't do a bar. You see how my attack.
What
is.
about the girly ones that are like with the little slim body? You know, like
yeah, those little fretless
bodyless
ukulele,
upright-
those little ukulele fretless thingies.
Oh,
But
you
these
know,
are-
I'm
no,
talking
what about
about
like the ones that are like skeletons of upright
A
bass?
stick, yeah, it's the same issue. It's my excuse for saying, yeah, I tried one and I sucked.
there you go.
What about your cars? It's still in the garage?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's so old, no one's going to steal it. So
I got my friend Eddie Wright. He has a son who is a very good musician, and he's a big guy in the scene in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So he got robbed. His car got robbed the other day, and they took like a Mesa Boogie he had, and they took a bunch of things and a bunch of cables and a bunch of other stuff. And not thinking about it at the time, what they also got with his backpack that had the spare set of keys to his other car. They came back the next night and took his car.
Oh,
Jesus
man.
It's like,
I thought you were going to say they left him an accordion in the back seat. Like I thought this was a setup for an accordion show.
No,
I hope he had the common sense to leave the title in the glove box.
Oh yeah, signed, right?
well, he has insurance, which to me gave him like a little plus up in my book because
Yeah,
a lot of times your stories like that, and it's like, no, they don't have insurance either.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Oh my God. Yeah, you know what? Your car. Oh, that's terrible that they stole his stuff and he
There is
had to
something funny
live
about
through
that.
that. And then you walked
came
outside.
back.
And you went.
they came back for more.
You know, and I asked Eddie. I said, you know, is it like a sketchy neighborhood or is it just bad luck or whatever? And he says it's a nice, it's like a middle class neighborhood in New Mexico. You know, like.
Would you tell Eddie that if his house key happens to be on that key ring, he might want to think about.
You know,
Oh
like,
my God. Well, they robbed Randy's house once, and then they took his car, but he just followed the trail of oil all the way to their house. You know.
well, it was,
I could see it ran out of oil, and I could see the blue cloud in the distance.
they were actually brought up and convicted of attempt to steal a broken down car.
That's right.
They were caught in the
How
act.
dare you.
They just couldn't get it started.
That's right. The EPA came along.
My God, just bad. And Ray, you're not in the car business anymore. You're like a millennial, like living on without a car, right?
All right. I hear gas prices are very expensive right now.
Oh, just wait until 2 weeks from now. It's
Wait
I
till
know it's going to get worse.
Second
A
invasion.
little
$6.
A little bit.
Oh my God.
To quote De Niro.
So
Okay.
Ray, what do
Crazy.
you got for us? Come on, we'll do the sort of upside down sandwich. You'll have a Bill Norman sandwich, and you're
I don't like the
cheese.
sound of that, Ed, but okay. Go
You're
ahead.
the cheese, Ray Simonelli, in the sandwich.
Okay.
We can't get a girl involved in this somehow.
You're gonna try any women watching.
I get a girl and not
Exactly.
with me, you know.
Yeah.
So what do you got, Ray?
All right. I'm going to do a Neil Young song that Jewel covered. Actually, Randy will know this.
Yeah, Neil
Jewel
Young
did
wrote
this
me a letter, and
on
he
the
said
Howard
he's not
Stern
going to
show.
be on Jam TV anymore. So I don't know if you're allowed to do a Neil Young song on Jam TV, but
Why not?
yeah, because he's boycotting us because of our
that's
political.
Spotify.
Because I made a joke last week, a political joke.
Who's
You did a joke
boycotting us?
just now too. That was good.
Who's
Hey,
boycotting?
Randy.
Neil Young.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, right.
Did you hear Jules' version of Needle and the Damage
Oh,
Done
I
that she did
absolutely
live
have.
on the
She
Stern?
did it live on Howard Stern. It's fantastic.
It's beautiful, yeah. So
Yeah.
this is kind of like a blend of that and Neil's version. So
Oh,
it's like a
cool.
little bit in between,
Do it,
but
man.
more leaning towards hers because it was just so nice, you know.
Very cool.
She's cuter.
Let's give it a try. I heard you knocking on my cellar door. I love you, baby. Can I have some more? Ooh, the damage done. I hit the city and I lost my band. I watched the needle take another man. Gone. The damage done. sing about him 'cause I love the man. A lot of you don't understand. Milk, blood, to keep from running out. I've seen the needle and the damage done. A little bit of it in everyone. But every junk is like the setting sun. I heard you knocking on my cellar door. I love you, baby, can I have some more? Ooh, the damage done.
Very nice.
That was cool.
Neil/Jewel.
Yeah.
Cool. Or as some people
Heard
say,
him do that.
Taylor Swift.
Amazing.
Yeah, I played that song with Holly, and it's really fun with her too because she sings the shit out of it, as you would imagine.
Everything. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, good stuff. You're gonna do another Neil Young song, or what are you gonna do, Ray?
No, I think I'll do a Beatles song.
I've heard of them.
Mix it up a little bit.
The British
I just
band?
need to retune here. Hold on.
So I actually had a gig, if you can believe that. I had a gig
I saw a
last-
video of
At
that.
Sugar
Our big
Hollow,
show.
right?
I had
Isn't
gig
that a
at
great
Sugar-
place?
Love
And
it.
the guy.
Here's
who booked it-
in short. Here's how I will describe that place.
All right.
In Fairfield County, we have a lot of restaurant bars that happen to have live music. Sugar Hollow is a live music venue that happens to have a bar. Big difference, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. They've done a nice job in there. And
I mean,
like
they
the
even
whole-
have those black acoustic tiles all over the ceiling, above the stage, and along the beams.
yeah,
No,
I was very impressed.
I played there when it was Juddy's.
Yeah.
I think it was called Juddy's.
What
No,
town is it in?
They made it. It's south of the airport on Route 7.
Yeah.
It used to be the gay bar. It used
Yeah.
to be Triangles back in the day.
Yeah.
And-
Oh, yeah,
Triangle,
the
I go there all the time.
And then it was
there you go.
Juddy's, but these guys took it to the next level. I mean, I had a Rough Dogs gig there, and fantastic, really well done.
yeah, really,
And I
really
like
good.
the whole. It's like you're going to a speakeasy. Like you can't really see it from the road. You got
Oh yeah, the back door.
and walk down this hallway. And
Classic
you get in,
gay
and all
bar.
of a sudden It opens up. It's cool.
Yeah, I tell people when you're driving up the road, look for the swing sets. Pull in there, then you'll see a lingerie shop.
The
Drive
lingerie
all
shop.
the way
Then
around
stare
back.
at the lingerie shop that's not open and text your bandmates going, "Am I in the right place?"
And the
then
entrance
you're
is in the rear. It's like you couldn't make this stuff up, you know.
No,
But Randy, even when you get in the back,
yeah,
the sign for the place,
yes,
it's half hidden by
I
the
know.
drainage pipe, and it's literally about that big
It-
and that high.
I mean,
It's a little square.
Ed, this is comedy low hanging fruit here.
I'm telling
Every-
you,
I
And
have
I
not
hate
been
to-
to Triangle since I lost my assless chaps you know, at Walmart.
and to that point, I hate to play on stereotypes, but that's kind of it's the whole vibe of a gay bar that's kind of hidden and tucked away, and you got to know where you're going, and
Well,
It's
not
tucked
anymore.
away and
no,
No.
not anymore, but back in
Gay
the
bars
day.
are cool now, so
Yeah,
they've
I
all
know.
moved like like on Main Street, and all of like the musicians have to go hide somewhere. You
yeah.
know?
All of us locals remember the Cedar Brook or the Brook as it was.
Oh yeah, and then like that one, like God smutted that place down because the roof caved in, right? Like it was
I
like
think
snow.
so.
God was like, I smut you down. You know?
I just remember in high school, we were all like, we're going to go. Let's just go in. Let's just go. We were all, oh, okay. We
It's a
lasted like
Starbucks
15
now.
minutes.
It's a Starbucks now. You can go.
Yeah, I
now,
know. I
have
know.
a coffee, you know.
This is
Yeah.
a great show. This
Bad. But I played there this weekend with the British.
Can I take a show into the gutter or what? Can I?
Oh my God. So I played there with the British. The band has the weirdest name in the history of bands, right? It's the British Legends of Rock show. is the name of the band. British Legends of Rock Show. And they usually play at like, the Bijou and big like concert halls and whatnot. And Steve Avitable was their keyboard player.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But Steve left the band for some personal reason that I have not been made. I talked to Steve about it, and I have not been aware. So I subbed for a gig, and now I'll probably be doing more shows with them.
Nice.
But they
Nice.
it was a great show, great crowd. There must have been 150 people there. It was packed.
So
That's great.
how deep do they go? Like, do they do any deep cuts? Do they do anything that's like unusual, like strange, like?
You know what I'm going to do? My brain does not remember the name of songs. While Ray does his next song, I'm going to get the set list and I will disclose what they do, because I don't know.
Do they do like She's Not There or something?
I'm sure they do. Yeah, they do a bunch of Beatles. That's what made me think of it. They do a bunch of Beatles, but they also do Zeppelin and The Who and whatnot. So
Cool.
Come on, Ray, play some
All
songs.
right. Here we go.
All right.
Let's have some fun.
I once had a girl, or should I say, she once had me. She showed me her room, isn't it good? Norwegian wood. She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. So I looked around and I noticed there wasn't a chair. I sat on the rug, biding my time, drinking her wine. We talked until 2, and then she said, it's time for bed. She told me she worked in the morning and started to laugh. I told her I didn't and crawled off to sleep in the bath. And when I awoke, I was alone. This bird had flown. So I lit a fire. Isn't it good, Norwegian wood?
Very nice, Ray
Little
Ciminelli.
Norwegian wood as opposed to morning wood.
Here we go. There goes the neighborhood.
Did you
Suddenly, I look mature.
I'm sure there's a
Suddenly,
song about that somewhere too.
was that
I
capoed Ray?
look like I have standards and I'm mature by comparison.
So what was the story of that? There was some story that you told once. Like, wasn't it like somebody was mad that she didn't have sex with him, so they burned her bathroom down or something?
That's
Lennon.
exactly what it was. I mean, if you read through the words of that song, it's extremely literal.
It is,
Because-
yes. And then she said it's time for bed, but it didn't involve him because she had to work in the morning, and he got pissed. He had evening wood, and he was pissed.
And
he burned her
said, "Oh,
bathroom?
I'm going to bed.
He
You're
burned
welcome
her
to stay."
furniture or something?
And
Like,
he woke up and she's gone. So, as Paul McCartney said in an interview, he goes, when we wrote this, he goes, in as a bunch of guys in our world, we had to get revenge. So we lit the fucking furniture on fire. That's how he said it.
Little known fact, that was originally the jingle that was used in the first year of IKEA. A lot of people don't know that.
was it? No, was it?
Well, no,
No.
it's funny that you say
Ed
that because
Train.
he explained
It's a
in that
good
same
writing.
interview that back in England,
I could definitely see IKEA doing
Ray
that.
froze. Ray
You know,
froze. Ray
I know
froze.
Ray froze. I don't have a drink. Oh my
Oh,
God.
come on.
But they couldn't call the song Pinewood.
You know the
so they,
rules.
they changed it to Norwegian Wood. They just made that up,
Ed, have
Too
you ever
funny.
heard the song "Tinfoil Hat" by Todd Rundgren and Donald Fagen?
Ooh, yeah, I think I did hear that, but it's been
It's pretty
years.
funny. It's pretty funny. I don't want to say who it's about because I don't want to upset.
Yeah.
It's about Randy. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I never
Do it.
tire of hearing it. That's all right.
Yeah. It's kind of not about Randy.
All right, you guys, I got to run. Thanks so
Race to
much, man. Have a
Manali.
good show, Ed.
Good to see you, Ray.
Randy, I'll see you next week.
What you trying to do with my heart? You better run. You better hide. The Rascals, baby.
The
What-
Rascals. Yep.
The Rascals, when I was growing up in Riverside, Connecticut, the Rascals played twice a year. I mean, the Rascals played even when they had,
Right.
I didn't eat my heart out anymore. They were playing like the Afterglow at some high school, for like $2,500. And
Yeah,
then they got Good Lovin' and it went to like 7,500. But it's like the number one song in the country. And they're playing like at Greenwich Academy, it's just like, it's freaking crazy. And of course they played, the later version of them played at Staples High School as
Yes.
everyone did. But
Yeah, right. They were fantastic. I mean, and their arrangements. "It's a Beautiful Morning" has to be one of the prettiest songs ever written or
It is.
recorded.
it is.
Now wait.
They basically, when I first saw them, so they're playing at Ekman Center in Old Greenwich, and they would play there twice a summer. And you'd have other great bands too, like the Wild Weeds with Al Anderson, and you'd have local bands that were really good. Wilson Pickett played there, Question Mark and the Mysterians. The
Oh, nice.
Parliaments, before they became like a crazy band, when
Mhm.
George Clinton was still, just sort of straight up, and they had a song "I Just Want to Testify," which was a hit, and they weren't a funk band yet,
Right.
But when you saw them, it was kind of like, I'm sure, like seeing the Beatles after they came back from Hamburg, and then they went to Liverpool. They were men. They were man musicians,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they went out there and they fucking, they were professionals, like they had a thing, man, and it was so tight. And what they did without a bass player.
I know.
It was Felix using his feet on the B3.
He was using his
Wow.
feet. Well, they had that monster drummer. What was his name?
Dino Danelli.
Yes, that guy. The Sullivan clips are on YouTube. You go watch him. You can't look at anybody else. You just watch that guy play. That's it. He's
And that's something that to me has stuck with me my whole life, because I basically, if I don't like looking at the drummer, I don't give a shit what he's playing. I don't like the drummer, so it's like, Dino, who had all of his cymbals were straight. They were like,
Yes.
he had nothing at an angle, and it was all like up hits, and he looked like Paul McCartney, like he had
and he sat way up high over the kit too.
and he had the huge bass drum, like the freaking, and it was a Ludwig set, and it was like a huge.
And he
bass
played
drum.
old school in the left hand, and man, he smacked that shit.
Oh.
He's really fun to watch. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he just, and he had like this, thing like they did with his, like, look at the things where he plays on Sullivan, it's like freaking awesome, but great.
They
band.
did a show that they I don't know, they wanted to take. I saw it and I knew people in it. It was a show.
Yeah, Dennis Collins was in it.
Dennis Collins was in it, whatever, and it was great. They made it to Broadway with that show, right?
Well, did you see it at the Capitol?
I saw it at the Capitol. Yes.
Okay,
exactly.
so I went to the same thing, and then I went to see him again in Broadway, because again,
Right.
this is my life. Like when
Me
they're,
too. I went to see them.
like to me, I never saw the Everly Brothers, but that would have been like the same kind of thing. Like whatever they
Right.
did, I would have gone to wherever they did it.
But
it's
you don't
like-
know it, Randy, right? You don't know it
Don't know what.
about this show that we're talking
No.
about.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
it
they
was
did.
really
They did. I think it
cool.
was called like Once Upon a Time or something like that. And
Yeah.
they played it at the Capitol. And I've never been at a show that was such a fucking love fest, because here was the band and all the originals are still alive.
What year about?
It was like 5 years ago, 6 years
Okay.
ago,
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
something like that. And it was getting them back together was difficult because Eddie and Felix don't get along. And so, it was
Right.
it was a big deal, but everyone in the crowd was like me in that this was their growing up. This was the thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I went to Broad, and it was multimedia. It was put together by Stevie Van Zandt. He's the one who
Right.
actually, he and his wife
Wow.
were behind it. And it was a multimedia thing. They had, slide projection.
It was really cool. They had actors
It was.
playing the young guys.
Oh wow!
And so what they would do is
And
they
the Little
would-
Rascals outfits and shit.
you would come out exactly, and there would be a giant screen, like the biggest screen you've ever seen, and with a beautiful projection. And they had a high quality film, and it would be like and we were in the studio and we were talking to this guy and that guy and whatever, and then the band would come on in front of the screen, and the screen would be like images, and then they would alternate. So it was like a live show and a history lesson. It was a little like Jersey Boys in that sense, you know.
It was an homage, and it had like multimedia stuff to it, but you had all 4 guys were still alive. You know, there are very few retro band presentations that even approach that. You know, like they'll still call it the Who when 50% of them aren't there.
I was just going to say that the multimedia thing reminded me of the last time I saw what I call the Roger and Pete show.
Right.
Right.
But they did those same multimedia thing, and they would come on and do the songs, and they had great vintage film of the Ox and the Loon and all that shit.
Right.
But
Well,
nothing wasn't the same.
You know, when you talk about drummers that were fun to watch, Keith Moon is like, he
I
and Dino are almost
one
like two
time.
favorites.
I saw the band at the Garden in '76. It was the scariest show I've ever been to.
Wow.
Thought I was going to die. It was
Really? It was like
fun.
they were bad boys, right? They were
bad boys, but the crowd was fucking out of control. The crowd.
Right.
The crowd
Well, I mean,
was not-
I saw him for the
not to
first
be
time
trifled
in
with.
'67
Oh no
at
shit!
the Central Park at the Schaefer Music Festival in Walman Rink.
That must have.
And-
When did they start? 67?
Well, I'm sure in England they probably started in '65 or something like that.
Yeah,
but
they did.
this was,
64.
they came here to play a Murray the K show. You know, like it was one of those Murray the K shows
Right.
where it was like they were in it, Cream was in it,
Yep.
and then like the Crystals and Dion and like other
Yeah.
stuff. And they had to play like 5 shows a day, 3 songs. And like you got Cream playing 5 shows a day, doing 3 songs. It's just like crazy. It would be like,
That was-
you know,
Matter of fact, that was the last super group I was able to see with all the original members. Was Cream? When was that? 2007. They did that reunion tour. They did 3 dates at Royal Albert and 3 dates at the Garden, and I saw one of those.
there is one and only one advantage to being my age, and it's that you caught them the first time around, you know, and you know, like I mean, the Who in particular, they were a punk band. They were so fucking good.
Absolutely, yes.
You know, 3 instrumentalists.
They were
and the bass
aging
player
punks.
was the lead
I saw them in
guitarist.
I saw them in '76. They were aging punks, but it was during the punk era, so they were trying to bring that punk vibe. You know, Pete especially was trying to be like, you think you're punks, you know.
But they invented it, but unfortunately by '76 it's irrelevant. You know, like but
they were still great. They still played like motherfuckers. It was the Who by Numbers tour, which is I think 80% a great album.
Yep. By today's standards, well,
100%.
what's an album?
yeah.
All right, what you got? What's that?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Entertain us.
another person that I love very much as a musician passed away this week. A guy named Gary Brooker, who was the vocalist of Procol Harum. Okay.
Oh yeah, right.
He's the guy that sang Whiter Shade of Pale. He wrote Whiter Shade of Pale along with this guy Keith Reed, who was their lyricist, and he went to all the gigs, but he was never a musician. He was in the band, considered in the band, but he was never out front. But he was the lyricist, and he had some great lyrics. You know, even Whiter Shade of Pale, which was the first time any of us heard them. You know, you're just like, this is fucking different. And later on you learn, oh, that's a Bach cantata on top of a.
I just knew I liked it, but I had no fucking idea what the guy was talking about.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But later on, like a lot of Brit bands, they kind of became enamored of the band from Woodstock, and when the band's first album came out, there's a whole shitload of bands that just sort of went, including Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton heard that. Between that and Bonnie and Delaney, he was like, I don't want to be, Eric is God anymore. I want to be like a rootsy guy from America,
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we all just wanted to be like Brit guitarists, We wanted to be him, he wanted to be us.
Right.
But they were heavily influenced by that, and they sort of. I always thought they were mislabeled as a prog band, because people always talked to them like they're a prog band because they were good instrumentalists and the organist was really good, and their biggest single had a Bach quote in it, so that's why that came. But they really were, to me, like with Elton's Tumbleweed Connection, their album A Salty Dog was a beautiful version of Brit Americana. You know, it was the kind
Yeah.
of thing they had two keyboards like the band. They had great harmonies, which were mostly, you know, Gary Brooker being doubled, but man, they were good. And I saw them live. They could do it live. You know, I saw them premiere that again at the Fillmore East.
That's cool. Nice.
No, they were a great band.
Were they good live?
They were really good live, you know,
Yeah.
and they had their lead guitarist was Robin Trower, who
Yeah, right.
who went on to become like a lot of fame,
Robin
as sort of
Trower.
sort of a Hendrix ripoff.
Yeah,
But-
sort of.
But
Yeah.
before he was that, he in this band, in the context of this band, he was an amazing little crayon out of the color box. You know?
Most of those bands back then were good live because they recorded all that shit live in the studio. It really there wasn't that much, you know, funny business going on.
No,
And I think that's why sometimes today when you see a band for the 90s or the aughts, you know, or I don't go see them, but I see live versions of them like, you know, I don't
Well,
expect
I
you to
mean, you
sound
know,
like
they-
a record, but I expect you to sound like a band, you know.
yeah, they were one of those bands where, like most bands in that era, I was good for about 4 albums, maybe 3, maybe 4. You know, I left Hendrix after Electric Ladyland. You know, like
I just
you know,
know that first album.
I had no compunction about, you know, dropping anyone, but, you know, them, Procol Harum, and Jethro Tull, who I believe both of them share the same distinction of not being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As unbelievable as that sounds, neither one of them are in it. But then neither is Warren Zevon or Little Feat or Los Lobos.
It makes no sense.
So this is a song that they wrote on the Salty Dog album, and it's called "The Devil Came from Kansas," and that gives you a little sense that, like, you know, they weren't writing songs that were so obscure. The lyrics were absolutely obscure, but Kansas is the reference point. You know, like
Yeah.
so there's some sort of fascination with America here. You know, and-
Right, sure.
Ed, you have to look up your British set list while he's playing.
Yeah, I got it.
That's
I
true.
got it up here. We'll talk about it after the song.
Right. Well, the devil came from Kansas. Where he went to, I can't say. Though I teach, I'm not a preacher. Though I aim to stay that way. There's a monkey riding on my back. Been here for quite some time. He says he knows me very well, but he's no friend of mine. I'm a humble pilgrim, and there's no need to scrape and squeeze, and don't beg for silver paper when I'm trying to sell you cheap. The devil came from Kansas. Where he went to, I can't say. Though you really are my brother, though you better start to pray for the sins of those departed. One's about to go. There's a dark cloud just above us. Don't scowl because I know I'm not a humble pilgrim. There's no need to scrape and squeeze, and don't beg for silver paper when I'm trying to sell you cheap. Though I never came from Kansas, don't forget to thank the cook. Which reminds me of my duty. I was lost, though now I look. From the turning and the signposts, and the road which takes you down to the pool inside the forest, in whose waters I shall drown. I'm not a humble pilgrim. There's no need to scrape and seize, and don't beg for silver paper when I'm trying to sell you cheap.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I
I would
recognize.
guarantee you, I'm
Once you
probably the
started,
first-
I have heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably the only person playing that at that particular moment in time in like a.
Wow.
Would I be wrong to say like 1,000-mile radius?
There's a lot of shit going on in my house that ain't happening in a 1,000-mile radius. It's all right.
You know, I go when I go to the gym, I put my iPod on. My iPod has it has like 25,000 tracks on it, right?
Yeah.
You know, so
Right.
I put the thing on and I text my wife and I said, "I'll bet I'm the only person in this gym listening to a raga right now while I'm on the bike." You know, and she says, "You're the only person in the fucking world that's listening to a raga while you're on the bike."
Only folks in the world listening to an iPod
I
anymore.
was going to say, even folks in the India subcontinent aren't listening to it. I noticed it's somewhat related. The Olympics, the skaters, the choice of music for some of the skaters. There was a chick whose whole performance was to Iggy Pop's "Now I Want to Be Your Dog."
Right,
That's
right.
she was a good skater, but I was like, I'm listening to her. I was like, is that Iggy? She's fucking skating to Iggy. All right.
You know, they like typically in the ice skating, they used to do this. And I don't know if they still do this, but when the games are about to be over and the competition's already ended and that's all it is, they used to do like a free skate that was like not
I
a
remember
metal
that.
thing. It was just
Yeah.
a groovy, like have fun.
Just for fun, just to entertain the crowd. You're right.
And there was a guy, he might have been a Canadian, a guy named Robin Cousins. And I just remember he came out and he skated to like Michael Jackson, like skated to like, you know, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough or something like that. And I just remember going like, why can't they do that in you know, the regular part? Because they also have that shit in skating, like, what do they call them? The compulsories or something?
They got rid of those. I used to actually
Did
like
they get rid of those? Because
They
I was
did,
wondering why I never
but they
see
had
them
to do a
anymore.
perfect circle in one stroke, and they would do it like 1 inch an hour. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. There was
So
something
figure eight, and you have to keep doing the figure eight. It's like,
Yeah. I actually, for some perverse, torturous reason, I kind of like that because it
well,
looks
I mean,
so
I
hard.
just thought it was part of the gig, you know, like
Yeah.
it's kind of like, you know, whatever.
It's your right of entry. You get your anti-ip. You know, like if you do a circle, then you can do the crazy.
I tell you, musician, right? Do all these scales and modes and everything. Let's see before you play a single song.
It's kind of like the art. I don't know if I'm dating myself, which I often do, but it's kind of like
Look
the
who
art.
you're with. I mean,
The art school, you know, the art school stuff they used to have in the back of comic books. Like, if you can draw this circle, then you can draw this puppy. You know, like it's kind of like that.
I worked in the building. My first job was in the building of the famous artist studio. And they were in the basement. I was in a market research company above.
And where was that?
Huh?
Where was that?
It was on 15 Riverside Avenue in Westport, right at the corner of the Post Road and Riverside, towards the Duck side of Riverside. It was on the left. It used to be a car dealership way back in the 50s.
Right.
And I used to go down there. They had all these entries of people who tried to draw sacks of mail. They just fucking throw. Just think they were like in front of guys with a monocle, you know. Fuck that. Send them a package, you know.
They had like the puppy. Like the puppy was one of the things.
Yes, draw the puppy.
The budget. You know.
I think you could have drawn an X, and you would have gotten a yes. We want to sell you a kit. You have talent. Yeah.
Oh man, that's the famous artist school. That's a classic.
Yeah. Yep.
That's very cool. All right, so I got a list of the
All right.
band, the British Legends of Rock Show. Like, it's a weird sounding name, but like what they want is that it's up on the marquee at some big theater.
No, it
British
works.
Legends of
It
Rock
totally works.
Show. You know,
You mean Billy J. Kramer is going to be there? You know.
right? But if it's a show, you can charge more money. You can
Really,
charge tickets for a show.
There's a marketer in this band somewhere. So go on.
That's
Jerry,
it.
who's on a pacemaker, is going to be there.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. So there's some Elton John on here. There's Bitches Back and this Saturday Night's All Right. Elton John. There's some Yardbirds, Heart Full of Soul.
Great
Right.
song.
What else? There's Suffragette City. Yep. Suffragette City's on there.
Nice.
Bunch of Beatles. She's a Woman, Day Tripper, Drive My Car, whatever. There's some Kinks on there.
Some what?
Good.
Oh,
Cream,
Yeah.
Sunshine, You Love Cream, right? There's a little bit of Rolling Stones.
A little bit of Rolling Stones.
Yeah, there's Last Time and there's Brown Sugar, right? So it's not like they went crazy on the Rolling Stones. There's some Queen, right? The crazy little thing called Love. Did a nice job on that. Bunch of Zeppelin, like the who's who of Zeppelin. They do, they do a lot of Zeppelin. Immigrant and Custard Pie and Ramble On and Good Times, Bad Times, all that. Then the Who, Behind Blue Eyes, which is kind of an odd selection, but I like that one.
Great song. It's just not rocking, but
it's an odd song.
They do My Generation or Can't Explain or any of that.
They Can't Explain, yeah.
There you go.
And My Generation, yeah, absolutely. And then Hush by Deep Purple, right? I always thought Deep Purple was from Long Island. I don't know why.
No.
Because I think they.
No.
Well, okay. So here's the story.
Deep Purple
right?
from Massapequa.
No, listen. I swear to God. So I was never.
From Levittown.
Yeah, Levittown, Matt. Op-hog, hot hog, patchog, og-hog. Yeah.
There you go. I was never a Deep Purple aficionado. Like I didn't know. I knew a little bit because of the organ playing and all that. But
Who is?
But so I went on one of the worst date I've ever been on. Okay, so I have this friend Wendy, right?
With the
Wendy,
lead singer of Deep Purple. No.
if anybody is from Bedford, New York, you all know the Heller girls, the Heller family. Mr. and Mrs. Heller had 9 daughters. Okay,
Sounds like I wanted to know them. Yeah.
Oh my God, and they were
Heller
all
high watered.
They were beautiful, they were blonde, and they were sweet as pie. These Catholic girls from Bedford, and they were all just very ingenues or whatever. And so my friend Wendy was my buddy. Like I never dated the Heller girls. They were my friend. I was like the little brother of them. I know them from when I was 5 years old, right?
Until one day. Yeah.
No. And so my friend Wendy, who would never date me, but my friend Wendy said, I'm going to fix you up with my girlfriends, right? So she fixed me up on like 4 or 5 blind dates, right? One of whom became a nun immediately after the date. Like I called her for another date and she was like, I'm sorry, I'm becoming a nun, right?
That's actually worse than going lesbian, I think.
Oh my God. And then there were a bunch of
I've got
other
a story like that, but anyway.
yes, they were all nice girls, right? Except there was this one girl, Anne Marie, and apparently, okay, this is a comedy show, but this is the truth. Apparently her father was some major mafia kingpin.
Oh shit.
Right, like major, right? And I remember at the time I was like in venture capital and I had a shitload of money and I drove a fancy Jaguar or whatever. And I went to pick her up at her daddy's house where she lived, right?
Oh boy.
I was, what was I, 28 or not 27 or something like that. And so I show up in this Jaguar in my great suit and my fancy shoes or whatever. And and like it was like something out of a movie, like a Godfather, like this giant estate in Westchester somewhere. And so I pull in, I pick her up, her name is Anne Marie. And I say, what would be a cool thing to do? There was a place that had a comedy night, like a comedy, they had dinner, like a really nice restaurant with dinner. And then at a certain time, they clear the place out and they have comedians, like good comedians. So I'm like, we'll go to the comedy night, right? So she's like, she's beautiful, beautiful girl, but she's very mean. She was like clearly mean and nothing impressed her. She was like, nothing you do is good. And I'm like, I'm blowing this date, right? So I take her. There's a point to this, by the way. So it's all going to come back around to Deep Purple, right?
Does it involve cement shoes? Or?
Yeah, no. So so we go to this thing, right? And we go in and we sit down and we order the prime rib dinner and the whatever.
Don't roll the film. Go ahead.
Oh my God. And so as they bring out the food, they put the food on our table. And this is a really nice place, right? They put the food. I hope you enjoy your meal. All of a sudden, the doors open and they flood people in for the comedy show. And they seat people at your table.
Oh,
so
yeah.
They seated like 4, 5, 6 people around our table. And they all started to smoke, right? Back in the day, right?
Yeah.
So this girl goes, I am allergic to smoke and I am leaving.
Lie.
And she gets up and walks out. And I had just, like, the dinner must have been super.
You've got the fork, right?
Right. We hadn't had a bite. So I'm like, pack up the food and I want my money back for the comedy ticket. We're leaving. And they go, no refunds. So like, it's like like $200 later. And I'm like, okay, I didn't get dinner and I didn't get comedy.
Hey, honey. Yeah.
So I said, let's salvage this evening. Where would you like to go for dinner? I'm like, now I got to buy her another dinner, right?
Yeah, really.
So we get in the car. She goes, I want to go. And I can't remember. I want to say it was in Greenwich somewhere, like in the backwood. I lived in the city at the time. That it was like the backwoods of Greenwich, and it was like
Premiere, or something.
Oh,
I
Been
don't
there, man.
remember what it was. I
Like
remember it was
Premiere,
outdoor.
yeah.
They had a big outdoor
Bedford,
area.
I think.
Yeah.
And anyway,
like
so
that.
I get her there, and we walk in, and everybody knows her. They're like, Anne-Marie, how are you? Who's that guy, right? And so the bunch of these guys are like, Anne-Marie, come sit with us, right? So they go over, she sits down with these guys, and it was Deep Purple. They were there, and they were all there, and they were like, Anne-Marie, how are you? Oh, we had dinner with Deep Purple and hung out with them.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And then I took her home and never saw her again.
Never
So-
saw it.
So Deep Purple, I had their first album. Like here's another band that I was gone from them before they became
Was
big.
that was that Hush Hush?
It was Hush, and
Okay,
so
good,
right.
Hush was written by Joe South, an American from the South, the guy who wrote
Games people
"Well, the
play?
games people play
Yeah.
every night and every day," and
I didn't know that.
he was a big time, like
didn't
Muscle
know that.
Shoals kind of guy, and he wrote that song, and that song has some of the greatest organ and some of the greatest
Mhm.
guitar, and it's like the guitarist is like Tony Iommi, or the guitarist is Richie Blackmore, the
Okay,
guitarist
yeah.
is like
That's the
was
guy,
a big
yeah.
guy, and I remember having that. I had it on this little piece of shit freaking, portable, record player. And I got as far as their second album where they did a cover of Neil Diamond doing Kentucky Woman. And that was the end of it for me. I just, and then they went on to be popular.
As far as Neil Diamond songs go, that one's not bad. That and Cherry Cherry are pretty good.
Yeah.
Then
Solitary Man's not
and
bad.
it goes horribly wrong after that.
Yeah, we played that song. We played Hush.
That's a great, but
That's
I mean,
a good song. That's
a real
a
good
rocking
song.
A band I sub with does that song. And they kill it. It's really good.
it's
Yeah,
a
it was
it's
good.
a real good,
Especially
it's a
on
real
the
good
Stretch
arrangement.
on the Hammond organ.
The organ shit
Yeah.
on that, Ed, as you know, is really good.
You
Yeah.
get to
John
stretch out. Yeah.
Lord was the organ player. John Lord. He was like, he was
Yeah,
a player.
it was very good. Let's see. We
So that date didn't go well.
oh my God, I never saw her again. It must have cost me $200 back
was
when
gonna-
$200 was
I
real
was gonna
money.
say, you get anything, you get.
On the plus side, he didn't end up in the trunk of a car
right.
with his thumbs
My
broken.
daughter is upset. She says you disrespected her.
Anne-Marie had a shitty time.
Emily,
over
why
here.
are you crying?
Yeah, no, that
Get
was
the
not.
hammer, Carmine. Get the hammer.
That's right.
And I was
Or
like,
the,
I was
you know
like,
the comedian
Wendy.
D.L. Hughley?
At first, I was like, my friend is fixing me up with her girlfriends, and then I'm like, oh, with her single girlfriends who can't get a date to save their lives
Yeah,
because
right,
they're
yeah.
terrible. They're awful people.
Here
Right?
comes a horse. Yeah.
I played at a birthday party for Bob Guccione's daughter. He had like twin duplexes, like in the low 60s between like Madison and Fifth Avenue, and they were dual
I
duplex.
don't want to make a prediction here, but he wasn't the best looking man.
Oh my
So,
God,
I don't know how
he's actually
the
there.
girl was, but
He's got like this like deerskin leisure suit on, and it's like it's cut down to his navel, and there's nothing to see here, kids. Keep moving. And he had he had this gilt piano, this piano that was like painted, but he did have in the bathroom like Monet, and there was art all over the place.
and five hot naked women too.
Well, he had also this kind of grotto in the bottom. There was a little pool down there,
Yeah.
and it had these nickel inlays. So it was like sort of turquoise and silver. It was
What,
very
like
cool.
coins, nickel coins.
I don't think it was nickel coins, but it could have been. It was literally, it was like that. And we're playing. I don't know how we got the gig. I know I had nothing to do with it, but we are so not the people that should be right there playing for this girls. We're playing deep cut classic rock shit. And from the get go, she's like, "This sucks."
How old was she?
Oh man, I'm gonna say she was I don't think this was like a 21st birthday. I think it was
like she a teenager, or was
she might have been 18 or something like
Okay.
that. We were so wrong.
So
But
she
however
wanted, like,
old they
she
were,
wanted David Cassidy.
well, I mean, they were old enough to bolt, though. They were. I mean, this was
okay.
more.
Yeah.
This was in the 70s. Like
all right, all right.
they were old enough to just say "fuck this" and
Fuck
go
this.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it's
I-
like I don't know how we got the gig, but it was pretty fucking hilarious because he was a creep.
Oh yeah, he's. Yeah,
He-
he was,
you know,
what was his
Penthouse.
Penthouse magazine.
Penthouse?
Oh, like you don't know.
No,
Oh,
I
come
thought
on.
it was we. I thought it was we. Who is
Probably also.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
I looked
like
at
it.
them all.
You thought it was we, like you're including us in your.
Yeah,
diversion.
that's right.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I would never sink so low for Hustler. I mean,
There's a story that somebody tells. I can't remember if it's Billy Foster or with Billy and the Showman.
Is it
or-
a disgusting story? It's Billy
it's a
Foster.
great story. It's a great story. Speaking of black, where's there it is. So
I'm just saying Billy Foster story. Oh God.
oh my God. So the story, I think it might be a Billy and the Showman story. I'm pretty sure. And they play at the like a big New Jersey mafia boss, like Tony Soprano's house, right?
Yeah.
And they go to the gig and it's pouring. It might be another friend of mine too. Dina Miller.
I do know Dina Miller.
Dina Miller's father was Jimmy Miller, who produced
Dina Miller's
the whole-
father was the guy who was the recorder for Beggars
The role-
Banquet, Traffic.
Yeah, right.
He's a legend. He played the
Yeah.
cowbell on Honky Tonk Woman.
There
He
you go,
played drums on Honky Tonk Woman.
Right, and his daughter's an accomplished musician as well,
Yep.
and so it's either her or Billy in the Show. I can't remember, but so they drive the truck out to this mafia house in New Jersey, and there's tents set up in the back, and they say, "Can we drive the truck up to the tent?" And they say, "Sure, of course you can." So they drive it, and the lawn is soaked, right? And the truck goes through the lawn into the septic tank. Let that marinate for a minute.
But
I'd rather
it doesn't
not.
need to it doesn't need to marinate very long. Yeah.
They are right by the tent, and now there's a hole in the ground with a truck in it. Covered in shit, and it stinks to high heaven, right? And so they at the end of the show, the whole show
And people are
it was
barfing
raining,
and
it was terrible, and they ruined the wedding. And then they had to go into the kitchen or whatever
Oh, that's
and
a good
get
story.
paid at the end of the gig. And
Oh,
the
you
guy's
can't
like,
escape that. You could go
And
into the
whoever it
basement.
was
You're
like,
gonna smell that.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get killed. Like the mob guy is gonna murder me for ruining his daughter's wedding.
Oh, God. You're lucky you didn't.
Oh man.
We gotta ask Billy. If you're watching Billy Foster, sign in.
I was busting his balls. I saw him at the dock whenever I played there last couple of weeks ago. Like, Foster, where? And I said, "You have some fight with Ed, or what the fuck?" He's like, "No, my computer doesn't work." You're like, what? What do you mean your computer doesn't work?
Yeah,
The
right.
fuck? Get back
He's
on
been
there.
laying
We work-
low. I think he's been laying low lately. I don't know.
No, but you can lay low and come on this show. I mean, come on.
Hey, come on now.
Clearly, we have no standards. I mean, gentlemen.
Exactly. My God. Yeah. So I can't. I'll find out what band that
I
was.
disagree. We have standards, and they're very low.
That's
I
right. They're
think we
impossibly
absolutely
low.
have standards.
Yes, we raised the bar on lowering the bar.
My God. You got another one, Bill Noman?
I think I could come up with one. This is
Come on.
this is from my show called, Real Legends of British Rock and something like that.
Show.
I get high when I see you walk by. My oh my, when you sigh, my insides they just fly. Butterfly, why am I so shy when I'm beside you? It's only love and that is all. Why should I feel the way I do? It's only love and that is all. But it's so hard loving you. Is it right that you and I should fight every night? Just the sight of you makes nighttime bright. very bright. Haven't I the right to make it up, girl? It's only love and that is all. Why should I feel the way I do? It's only love and that is all. And it's so hard loving you. Yes, it's so hard loving you. Loving you.
That's actually one of those songs that there's a lot of Beatles songs I find that I just hear the sequencing on the album, and for that one it was like, is there anybody here?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes.
That came right after it. Whenever I play Blackbird, it's always like I end it with like a Piggy.
It's amazing how you remember that stuff. It's
I
still
do,
with you.
Especially a Beatles albums, pretty much only, maybe some Stones. But Bill, I gotta say, I'm so fucking jealous of what you can do. It's really that you can just render these songs and sing them and play them so well. Yeah,
Well,
it's really it's not a lot of people can do that.
Well,
And
thank
as
you,
well as
Andy.
you do it.
As you probably imagine, what I'm thinking right now is you're wrong, but
All right.
But thank you.
I'm not. So
But it's fun anyway.
it's just the three of us.
It's tough to keep a band together. It's tough to have a
I
band.
know. I've
and it's
lectured several people who have almost left a couple of bands. I mean, it's like it's lightning in a bottle. If you get a band where everybody likes each other, and and we generally get along, we're making good music, and nobody's gone off the farm in drugland, or
Right.
you don't get one of those. This is the phrase I use all the time. If you're at rehearsal and you hear, "Hey man," as soon as I hear fucking "Hey man," band's about to break up. You hear fucking "Hey man."
I play with this one
That
band.
you
They're
watch.
lovely. Like everybody in this band is just the nicest
Yeah.
person. It's so great. But they blow up your freaking text message box with like lists of dates for rehearsals, and like it goes on
I
and
can't
on.
imagine
Your phone is ringing.
I can't
all
imagine
day
being
long.
in a band like that.
I don't know who's in that band.
I can't
but
imagine being in a band like I would never put up with that shit. Yes. Don't fucking point at me, motherfucker.
It's like
I'm not
1,000 messages. It's
Dude.
thousands of messages a day.
It's just like being behind the curtain when Jerry
Yeah.
Lewis and Dean Martin broke up.
You point at me. There's 7 other people doing this shit, and basically all you hear from me is the answer is yes.
Oh my God.
You want to rehearse? Yes. Here's the dates I can't play. Anything else? Come on over. I'll host. I'll pop the champagne. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read from
No, I really will
the
pop the
book
champagne.
of the band, like chapter 7, verse 17 of Randy going on and on about how the rehearsal bookings at his studio. And oh my God, it's endless.
Well, what do you want me to do? Not respond?
But it's.
By the way, I took a page from your book, a-hole, and I said that everybody needs to arrive knowing the songs cold. This rehearsal is not learning the songs on the
That's
fly.
not happening.
No, but you know what? It's,
So I should do your dismissive hand wave technique. Okay, all right.
I've done a couple of. I did a couple of big shows like in Rowayton that were 4 years in a row. I did these shows that were thematic. The second one, which was British Invasion, was pretty fun, and we did them in Pinckney Park in Rowayton. And the
First
people
place I ever played, way back when.
people that I had with me, I had Eddie, I had Fonda, I had Mike Marble or Vinny Canigliaro, and we were like the house band. And the way we did it, we're the house band, and then we just brought up vocalists who might play a little guitar or do something like that. But we basically, I didn't want any setup between songs. I didn't want any breakdowns between songs. I wanted to be like 4 hours of nonstop music, and that's the way it worked out. And we practiced maybe for 40 songs. We practiced maybe twice, and the practices were almost always vocal practices.
Yeah.
Like everybody else, you just had to like learn it. You learned it, and Mike never came to the practices, but Marble is so conscientious. It's like he's someone I just I love him to death. I can never afford him, and I never really have the right gig for him anymore. But he was in like the early version of like Mojo, where it was so fucking great because everybody was an adult and everybody like learned this stuff, and we all were on kind of the same page. Which that to me is the biggest problem with the band. Really is talking people into what you want to do. Like it's easy when you're doing a thematic show where it's like. There's songs from California or New York or British Invasion. That's easy. But if you're just going out there, you guys have been in real professional dance bands. Like the bands I've been in that led to dancing really required people to get fucking loaded because they're not like, and then you would have people come up to you and they'd say like, I want you to play our wedding, and then I'd be like, have you ever heard a solo? I mean, heard a sober rather, because, band stuff, I have great respect for people if they're good and they play weddings rather, because you get asked to do shit that's like, like Crispin has high-end freaking wedding bands that can literally play anything. You want Bruno Mars? Sure.
My drummer friend Steve Fruta is in one of those New York wedding bands,
Right.
And they get flown to Jamaica, Italy to do weddings, and when the dad comes up who's just spent $200,000 on this wedding and wants to hear New York, you better fucking deliver New York,
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Unique.
Perfectly.
And in those bands, these guys are players.
Yes,
they're fucking players.
they're all players. They're all players.
And
so,
they can do anything.
Like a quarter of my gigs, maybe a third, are sub gigs. Right, of all the gigs I get. There's no rehearsals, not one. I gotta show up knowing the fucking material. So
I did Bridget's Legends of British Legends of Rock show band. We had no rehearsals.
No, that's right. So I'm with you. I understand. I generally.
But did you shed it at all, Ed? Did you at all like?
Oh yeah. You know what I had to do that was actually harder than I thought. I had to do Maybe I'm Amazed with McCartney and Wings.
Oh yeah.
It's a great song, but I had to really practice that because there's a lot of odd little moments in that. Great tune. So now I got a question for you guys. I got my pen out because I'm going to take notes, right?
Well,
you are the guys that I want to ask this. All right. So it's the moment in this band where I don't know if there are any bad guys. I don't know if there's a fight coming down the road. But now they like me and I could like dictate my terms now, right? Like I could be like, nah, I will join your band if, right? Yeah. So what songs do I want to do that are like that showcase the keyboard, that showcase the Hammond organ, really? Because I'm a Hammond player first.
Yeah.
What songs? So think about that. What songs?
Well, I mean, start the first thing I would do is toss that back at you. What do you like to do? What do you think showcases you?
I've never. Bill's a therapist now.
I've never had a moment where I could dictate that. What I don't like, believe it or not, like I played Steely Dan in bands before. I don't like playing Steely Dan in bands, and I'll tell you why. And I know you play with a Steely Dan band, Bill Noman. You can either play it right or you fuck it up and then you suck, but you can't make it your own. It's like they already made it perfect. And
playing in a Steely Dan band, it was equal measure. I loved it and I hated it because I was the lead guitarist, and so I never felt I was worthy of any of that.
So
but I learned the shit.
You have to do the lead and Peg.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Peg is one of the ones that I had an easier time with, but my old school, and I refused to do Kid Charlemagne. And they got the guy who replaced me, because both Stu Starr and I left at the same time. When Stu was leaving, I thought it was an okay time for me to leave, and it was a perfectly lovely situation and everything, but I just felt like I was faking it the whole time, So when we left, and the guy that replaced me, he plays the stuff like it's supposed to be played. I always played it. The in was recognizable and the out was recognizable, but what happened in between? I'm not fucking Larry Carlton. Sorry,
I don't fucking believe it. You can't fake Steely Dan shit.
So I played in a band that did Steely Dan. We did Peg, right? And in the rehearsal, these rehearsals were so professionally done. Like they had vocal rehearsals, they had horn rehearsals, and they had band rehearsal. And so we're in the band rehearsal, and at one point we're doing Peg. Fred Clark is playing guitar on that, and if you're killing it. And at one point, the drummer Bob Bonvini, do you know Bob?
I do not.
Great guy, great drummer, great guy. He leans over to me because he says it. He doesn't want anybody else to hear that I'm a schmuck and that he's calling me a schmuck, right? And he goes, "Let me ask you." In the end of that phrase, there, do you play the dominant 7 or the on the top or the bottom?
Oh.
And I looked at him and I was like, I don't even understand the question.
Yeah.
And then I went, wait a minute. And I put my hand on the keyboard and I said, let's see, well, that's the root and that's the 5th. And that there's the dominant 7. I'm playing it with my pinky. That means it's on the top, right? And he goes, it's supposed to be on the bottom.
Oh, jeez.
And I go, you mean like this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, he's right. Like he was sitting there playing drums, listening and going, something's off there. And I
right.
know what it is. And like, that's Steely Dan. You either nail it or you're just a
That's
schmuck,
what I mean.
you know?
So that's what I mean. That I don't think Bill could fake doing that shit. You have it. You were doing it. So
Yeah.
Well, I
Here-
was faking it a little, but I had the enthusiasm that
All
made
right.
it come off.
I saw you
okay.
guys at Oyster Fest once and you just killed it, you know?
I may
That
send
was
you
one of
a-
our better gigs. The best gig we had was at the Horseshoe. The very first gig we had was the best gig we had, and it was complete. It was 100% vibe, you know,
Yeah.
like
I
because
think
the
I was there.
Horseshoe is
Those are the best
crazy.
gigs.
It
Best
was
gigs
Horseshoe
ever.
could be great.
one of the guys in the band. It was their first gig ever. Who was that? The singer?
Steve Hansen. I don't know. It could have been the bass player. It could have
Maybe.
been-
There was one. No, that's Ed Byron, right?
Yeah.
Ed Byron played the bass. I saw him the other night. He was at the show.
and it was Two Star, and it was John Flom and John Tavernesi on horn.
It was the singer. And I think he said, I've never had a professional gig ever. It's my first ever gig in front
Because
of
he's also a bass player, so he plays.
maybe as a singer, you know?
Because I've been in bands with him where he doesn't sing at all, you know, and he just plays bass, you know.
Right.
But yeah, that was difficult. But
Well,
you know.
if you guys think of any, so yeah, so I don't.
I have
like,
two.
I like something that I could just like stretch out on a little bit, you know. Hush was
Oh,
not bad.
well, one of my favorite sounds and all that stuff is "Give Me Some Lovin'."
Yeah.
We do give me some love it. Yeah,
All right.
it's
That's a great
Now,
one.
this isn't. I don't know if this guy's British, but one of my favorite songs. Nobody likes this song except for me. Lee Michaels. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yes.
It's all organ and drums.
But
There's
is he
only two
British?
instruments.
No.
So what other bands had like rocket? I mean, Emerson, Lake and
Well,
Palmer.
I mean, honestly, you know, the Zombies did, and
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys do. I don't know if you do Time of the Season, but that's one of the greatest organ solos on a pop hit ever.
Totally.
You know,
And
you know,
she's
Rod
not there.
Argent is the organ player, and he's fucking great. You know,
And she's not there as well.
she's not there, and yeah, she's not there, and also Tell Her No. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
All right. I'm gonna
I'll
look
take
this up.
more. And
I mean-
are you allowed to play? This is just. It would be a fun clip, a YouTube clip. I'm going to say it's not a me or anybody I know. But you can play somebody else's stuff, like another cover band, and not get hit by the police.
If it's a cover band, I'm probably okay. Now I can't play a police
I'm
tune.
going to say it's a 3-piece band. There's this woman named Rebecca Johnson. Anyone ever heard of her?
I don't
She's
know.
a monster bassist and sings, and with a drummer and a guitarist, and they do maybe the best version of Peg I've ever heard.
Really?
In front of like a Walgreens in the middle of the day, with people walking by and not paying attention to them. So Bill's going to do a song, and I'll send you the link.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, what about Procol Harum? What about Whiter Shade of Pale, or you know?
Well, yeah, that's not bad. Is that who
I mean,
just
it's
passed
an
away?
iconic organ thing, but it's not like a rave up, though. It's not like that, you know.
Is that who just passed away? The guy from
Yes.
Procol?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Where's
right.
Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Maybe that would be appropriate because I do that
It's-
song.
It's
Oh, hell
Bach,
yeah.
you know. It,
Ed, you could totally do that.
Yeah, no, I do that. I do that with Billy Foster, you know, like Procol
Yeah.
Harum. Yeah,
I mean, it's a
that's-
classic. It's a classic organ song, you know. I mean, classic organ figure, but it's not.
and
an
that
organ
would be a
solo.
good, yeah. So Whiter Shade, you're right, yeah. But I like what I'm looking for. I want to like rock out like Keith Emerson, you know, but it's got to be within reason because he's pretty ridiculous, you know.
What
You know,
was
there's a
the first
band, the band that Keith Emerson was in before
Yeah. What was
Emerson,
the
Lake and
first
Palmer
band?
called The Nice.
The Nice. That was it. Yeah.
Never heard of
this
it.
was
Oh my
a band-
god.
I saw them a bunch of times, and they're
You
so
saw them a
fun
bunch of
because
times?
I saw them a bunch of times at the
I'm
Fillmore East.
impressed, man.
You know, I saw them
Wow.
once with Bloodwind Pig and
Oh God. Bloodwind
Chicago. But in those days, it was Chicago Transit Authority. You know.
Yeah, right.
Blonde Pig. Now that's obscure with that fucking album cover with the pig with
With the pig,
Wayfarers
a head
and
rings.
cigarettes.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was the original guitarist in Jethro Tull, and then he broke off before they ever toured it. But
I was recruited
know,
to be in
they're,
a band that was forming that wanted to play out in bars, and the guy wanted to play Bloodwind Pig. I'm like, I like it, but you think anybody's going to hire us in a fucking bar, and you think anybody in the audience is going to want to hear that shit?
and therein lies my problem, which is like, I would be with that guy like, fuck yeah, let's do Bloodwind Pig.
I would have loved to, but
No,
I
I
get
get
hired
it.
doing Bloodwind Pig.
So what were we just talking about? It was after Procol Harum. It was what?
What was that?
What were we talking about when we got into Bloodwind Pig? I forget.
We're talking about the Nice.
Oh yeah. So the Nice. The thing that's fun about them, they have this live album, and I was at the show. It's one side of it is live, and he does these arrangements that in the middle of them, it's so fun and so funny. You know, in the middle of them, he's doing "She Belongs to Me." It's a Bob Dylan song. You know, she's got everything she needs. She's an artist. She don't look back.
Yeah, nice.
But they're doing it with, I believe, Greg Lake, who went on to King Crimson, do "Oh What a Lucky Man," and I believe that he was the singer in this band, and he does it as a Hammond organ rave up that in the middle of it has like a fugue. It has like a quote of like kind of Aaron Copland. It has it's just got like fucking everything in it. You know, like it's like soup to nuts. You know, because it's funny, like when you talk like Brit bands and Hammond organs, it's kind of less than American. You know, it's like Stevie Winwood, of course. Anything Stevie Winwood does.
Maybe that's the move, Steve Winwood, because they're not going to do anything that's not immediately recognizable by the audience.
Well, Give Me Some Lovin' is, that's
we do that, and that's
I'm
phenomenal.
a Man. How about I'm a Man? That's a good song.
That's not bad, yeah.
And it's really, I'm a Man is so great because it's got this fucking tribal beat to it. That
right.
Those are two singles, and by the way, Jimmy Miller produced both of them.
No
But
way.
Those are two singles.
Yeah, right.
That just they transcend like the time period they were in. If you listen to them today, they still sound freaking fresh and like, they're tribal. It's like jungle music, it's like, it's fucking awesome. I mean, Steve Winwood. How about Traffic? Traffic has a lot of stuff.
Ed, how about something even earlier? Do they do House of the Rising Sun, the Animals version? I mean, it's not Hammond organ, but it's very keyboard heavy.
Yep.
Yep. That
It's
could
real.
be.
I mean, they have a lot of songs actually that are good songs that they use the organ, a lot on. That guy was a good organ. Alan Price, he was a good organ player.
Yep. No, we already went over that, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah,
I'll have
think
to go
about
through
that.
my iTunes.
Because it's to the point where I could say, hey guys, I want you to feature me if I'm going to be in the video. Because they're like 3 weeks from now, it'll be like, yeah, screw you. We're not doing your stupid
Well, actually,
song.
you know what? The more I think about it, the organ solo in House of the Rising Sun by the Animals is really cool.
Yeah.
But it's very specific, right? It's very like you got to play the notes. You got to play.
Well,
exactly.
It's jazzy. He goes a little off the range on that.
I mean, you got to play over, A minor, C, D, F. Like whatever you want to do within
Yeah,
that.
but when he's doing that shit, he's riffing on it a lot.
Yep. But it's funny, when you think of when you think of like the Brit bands, it's like Stones, Beatles, Kinks. They're not them. Well, them have some things like, Gloria and Mystic Eyes, and there's a lot of organ in those things. There's a lot of like, like that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I'm going to send you it. I'm going to send you that track that Keith Emerson did, just because it's so fun where he goes with it, and he's just got the. He's got the chops. He can play fucking anything.
So amazingly good. Like, so I can't do something that's like you can't play it because he's just so amazing. No. But I, like when I was a kid, I learned how to play what's that song? Hoedown.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
Aaron
Aaron Copland.
Oh wow, that one, yeah.
But
Aaron
there's no
Copland,
way
yeah.
they would do that because that's like a shtick. You know, that's like
Yeah.
Keith Emerson showing off. How
Oh,
fast-
what about Focus Pocus? But actually, they're not Brits. They're like Swedes or
I
something.
can't wait for the look on the singer's face when you suggest that.
No, it's got to be immediately. All these songs are like immediately recognizable.
No,
as
what
like
you have to
classic.
say to them, you say, this is a blues song from my Austrian roots, and then
There you
you go
go.
into the yodeling.
The
That's it.
Austrian blues, exactly. Oh my God! Or I'm downloading that video. So you play one for us, Bill.
Okay. What shall I do? Okay. This is a Dire Straits song. I hear the 7 deadly sins and the terrible twins come to call on you. The bigger they are, baby, the harder that they fall on you. I'll do the same, persevere, same old pleasure ground, and it never rains around here. It just comes pouring down. You had no more volunteers, so you got your profiteers for to help you out. Friends like that, baby, good friends you had to do without. Now taking the chain and the gears from off your merry-go-round, and it never rains around here. It just comes pouring down. Well, you were just a roller coaster memory. I don't know why you was even passing through. Well, you were like a date with destiny when he came here asking for you. In the shadow of the wheel of fortune, you're busy trying to clear your name. You say I may be guilty, yeah, that may be true, but I'd lie if I said I was to blame. And now you and your new Romeo, just a gigolo when he let you down. Fast they are, baby, the faster they get out of town, leaving tank up stains and the tears of a clown. And it never rains around here. It just comes pouring down. Well, we ain't the major contenders. We never got no money, no breaks. You've got a list of all the major offenders. You've got a list of all the major mistakes. He's just standing there on the shadows. You smile that come on smile. I can hear you say, clear as the day, I'd like to make it worth your while. Oh, but it's a sad reminder when your organ grinder comes to you for rent. And all you got to give him is the fees of your sideshow tent. And that's all remains of the years spent doing the rounds. And it never rains around here. It just comes pouring down. Now you know what they say about beggars. You can't complain about the rules. You know what they say about beggars. Who's the first to blame their tools? You never gave a damn about who you pick up and leave lying beaten on the ground.
thought you were coming down. He takes you out to Vaudeville Alley, his hand up smothering your screams. He screws you down in Tin Pan Alley, the city of a billion dreams. And it's a sad reminder when your organ grinder comes to you for rent. All you've got to give him is the use of your sideshow tent. And that's all remains of the years spent doing the rounds. And it never rains around here. It just comes pouring down. Yes, it never rains around here. It just comes pouring down.
There you
Nice.
go. That was cool.
Thank you.
I haven't heard that forever.
He's a great lyricist, man. I love the words he writes.
All around.
You know.
So I thought of another band.
Oh.
Go through the Rod Stewart and the Faces catalog. Isn't there?
Oh
some-
yeah.
Yeah, like, so what song do you think?
Well, I mean, the one that's hearing in my head is, if I listen long enough to you, I hear the organ.
Reason to
starting off with it.
Believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But go through their greatest hits, and I think you'll find
right.
some stuff there.
Yeah, we do some Rod Stewart.
Oh, okay.
He's on the list.
I mean, more Faces stuff.
You're
the good-
Insane by Rod Stewart, which is a
good
little
stuff.
bit deep.
You do what?
You're Insane?
I don't even know that.
Rod Stewart. Yeah, I didn't know it either, but then you'd know it if you heard it. Like, you'd know it. It's a little obscure, but it's kind of cool. There's like a cool funky, it's a little funky, so.
But I mean, the Faces, the Rod Stewart Faces, and Ronnie Wood was on guitar, and they had Ian McLaughlin on organ, and the guy who Kenny Jones, who became the drummer for the Who. They were like the ultimate. They were kind of the Brit version of something like Orleans or they were a bar band, man. Like they were
more badass. They were
they
more
were
badass.
so fun. They were like a fun band.
There's a live version of them doing "Stay with Me" in some
Oh,
TV studio
yeah.
that's on the web. Fucking killer. They fucking kill it.
That
It's
could be
great.
cool. But I'm liking the Steve Winwood idea. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a man, like that stuff. I'm all over that. That's
Yeah.
exactly the kind of stuff. A lot of feeling and a lot of
Yeah.
that's I like that.
I mean, I was driving around the other day, and my mind was percolating. I was looking at the acoustic tile ceiling and wondering what was going. But I was just thinking about like vocalists. Like I tend to look at things like as vocalists, and I was just wondering if there was, who is my favorite vocalist, and it's such a hard thing to do. But I would have to say, like, Steve Winwood is somewhere right there, because there was nobody that at 16, 17, 18 could sound like Ray Charles, and not sound like he was trying to be like Ray Charles, but could actually sound like Ray Charles and then play piano like Ray Charles. Like that. There's really very few people.
Steve Winwood is really cool, like genuine cool. You're not trying to be showy, just
No
like here's what I
question.
do.
No question. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know who would I go back though. I'm more into pop than classic rock. So I mean, to me, I don't know who's a better vocalist than Sam Cooke was. That voice and that live recording of him at the Harlem Square Club in Vegas, which in '63 has insanely good sound quality.
yeah.
And you could just hear, you could hear the women faint. I mean, the women loved
Yep.
him so much, and he's like, "How's everybody doing tonight?" And there's I said, "How's everybody doing tonight?"
Right.
And he fucking commands that crowd. And Tom Jones is one of my favorite vocalists.
We
of all
do.
time.
One of the best.
We do. Which one by Tom Jones? We do. But my brain, like, seriously,
Not Unusual.
Yeah, Not Unusual.
Oh
And-
man, we did that at the Brit show, and the guy who was singing it was a guy named Craig Spinney, he's a very good singer, and I was kind of the MD of the whole thing, and I said to him, "We're gonna do It's Not Unusual. You're gonna sing it." And he goes like, it's going to be a joke. People are going to laugh at me. It's going to be blah, 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 you know. And I was just like, I'm like, trust me on this. Believe me. He fucking slayed it. I have a recording of it. I mean, he slayed it, you know.
Yeah.
It was so good. And you're right. Like Tom Jones is one of, I love like, I mean, I love anything he does, but I love his phrasing on, I saw the night in the light
Oh,
when
Delilah.
the
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
window. you know?
Yes.
Like
Hell
just
yeah.
his accents, like fucking crazy. You know?
If you want to, now we'll go really obscure here. He had a TV show, and
Oh.
there's a lot of great performances at that. But my favorite is he's doing a duet with Ella. They're
Ah.
she's so old. They're sitting in rocking chairs. It's very sweet. But they're doing Sunny.
Oh, nice.
Oh God, it'll make you cry. It's so fucking good. They're
Yep.
both so fucking good. And she's twice his age. I'm sure she could barely walk at this point.
Right.
Oh, but fuck, could she sing still? Like Jesus, there's someone actually greatest vocalist of all time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know,
Well, there, you know, on Jones's show too, he did a duet with Janis Joplin, and
Yes, I
and the
saw
thing that was
Yeah.
funny about it is like Janis just looked like she wanted to do him right there on the stage. You
Yeah,
know,
totally. Yes, yes.
it was like the relationship was like just so awesome. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
It's just like,
He's like, honey, I've seen that look before. Yeah, you know.
yeah. Oh man, love Tom Jones.
Yeah. Sandy Coughlin's cousin played on tour with Tom Jones.
You're kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
Like
like
what?
a serious, like 4-year Berkeley guy, whatever.
What did he
piano?
play?
He's a piano player.
Oh wow,
Wow.
And he also
that's a serious gig.
he
Yeah.
also played with Barry Manilow on tour for
That's
years
another
and on
serious
the
gig.
records like for
Big
years.
gigs. Big
Yeah,
gigs.
that's like don't hit a bad note.
Yeah,
You know,
apparently-
who's another, a guy who actually is an organ player is Georgie Fame from Georgie Fame and the Blue Flames, and they have a song called Yeah Yeah, which is a pretty cool song. It might be too old for this band, you know, like I
might be like I don't know. I have to
but it's
listen
like,
to
you know, it's like
Oh, yeah.
my pretty baby, no my pretty baby. It's like it's a song that
Yeah.
I play with Crispin, and Crispin just loves playing the horn part on it. Like he just loves
British,
it.
right? And it's
Yep, and he's British.
60s,
How about
right?
Van? How about Van? There must be something that's kind of organish with Van, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we already talked about them, like Gloria. And that
I'm
kind of thing.
definitely going for the Steve Winwood. That is sick. That's
Yeah.
the win.
Yeah,
Steve
he has a
Winwood's
bunch
the
of,
win.
you know, on his albums, he has these, you know, these instrumentals around there. He has one like Cross the Green Light and what's the other one? It's called Trampoline, you know, and they're like these bouncy, fucking fun instrumentals. And he's playing both piano and B3, but it's just like, you know, there was nobody. I can't imagine what it was like to be in England at that time.
Yeah.
And, you know, his brother had the band. His brother Muff had the band. And then they brought Stevie in because, unfortunately, Stevie was a force of nature at the Winwood house and was like,
Can you
yes,
imagine?
I'm in a band, Stevie. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, what's that you got there? A guitar? Okay, blah, blah, blah. Oh, look, I
Yeah.
know how to play it now. Oh, what you got there? Oh, I know how to play that now, too. You know, so
You want me
they
to
bring him
sing?
in, but can you imagine going to a club, just a club, like any club, a bar, restaurant, like the places we play, and you know, Steve Winwood is the keyboard player, you know.
The young
Yeah,
person.
right.
That's
Now, did those guys? Did they make it big in England, or are they British bands that made it big in the States? Like, how did that work?
they were big in England in terms of, you know, they sold records in England, but for all of those bands, it was not unlike in some ways like what was going on here. There were a lot of you know, jazz guys, you know, who only
Yeah.
made it in Europe, you know, like they were just playing, you know, they're playing the Village Vanguard or something, but they go to Sweden and it's like, but those guys, you know,
They didn't have to face white supremacy over there.
that is correct.
Truly,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, but here, like you just think of these bands, you know, Cream comes here and plays at Staples High School. You know, they play at the Action House out in Long Island. You know, like they're playing like little venues. You know, like
Yeah.
I only saw them once. I saw them at the Fillmore East, but
No, I wish, man.
you know, it was like it was loud. They were playing with Blue Cheer, who was the loudest
Oh
thing.
Jesus, they
It was
were really
so fucking loud. If I'm hard of hearing, that's why.
fucking
And
Blue
that
Cheer.
goes back to,
Oh,
like,
if I'm
19
hard of hearing, it was because of the Ramones at Friar Tuck's in Norwalk, which was about the size of a larger McDonald's. And my God, I've never. So Ed, before you, I have a question for you. Take 5 minutes before the show closes out. it's just the three of us. We're very loyal to this show. If what do you want this show to look like? If you could wave a magic wand a month from now, I'm just curious. I think you have such a good brand here. I think you have a good venue. I think it could be not freshened up, augmented. I think of all the people I'd love to invite on this show that at least are at Bill's level that could do this shit. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
You know what's interesting? I'm finding that with the pandemic being over and people going back to playing live a lot, they're like, yeah, I'm too busy to also do Jam TV one night a week or whatever. A bunch of me like Chris Owens Chris Owens doing some Berkeley guitar course online, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's busy with that and he's got his band going and everybody's getting out there, including all of us. We're getting out there a little. It's going to happen. And so what I was thinking was the one thing about the show that's a little odd is that the best part of it, don't get me wrong, I love the music, but the talk and the banter is really the best part of it. And I do like the idea of being able to bring other people who haven't been on the show and say, look, you don't have to play. You could just come on the show and talk. Like, for example, I don't know if he's watching right now for like Guy Bacino, right?
Yeah.
Like why isn't he on the
I don't know
show?
him well. There's a perfect example. There's a guy, he and I have seen each other a million times at venues, but I've never really sat and talked to Guy. And
Right.
I know that he's a good guy. I mean, I know a lot of people who know him who say nothing but positive.
Very interesting character. And he so I don't play an instrument on the show and you don't play an instrument on a show. And yet we bring something to the show.
Yeah.
And so, what I'm thinking is that it eventually the show, like we used to be way about these collaborative videos that like Valmall and I did, but
that moment has passed.
That moment has passed. And so, the idea of people coming on the show just to play, I'm not saying there won't be music. I'm not saying that we won't open it the same way with Bill Ullman and that whole thing. It's a great way to open the show and all that.
Totally agree.
But I like the idea of inviting somebody new on the show and then having like a panel. So it's not like show up if you want. It's like that night is going to be so-and-so or from this band and get to know those people and interview them live online. And a lot of that was your idea, Randy, doing interviews and bringing new people in.
Yeah.
And so that's instead of being somebody, I think Sherry called it a Zoom call at one point. I'm like, oh shit, this is like a Zoom call, like a family Zoom call. But I like the idea about inviting people on the show who don't have to have the pressure of their sound being good, and like they could just get on the show and blah blah blah. Like
Is that possible? You could actually get your sound to be good? I wasn't aware that was an option.
Somebody knows how to do it, not me, obviously. Oh my God. Speaking of sounding good, Dave Lindsay.
Randy's muted.
What are you eating, Dave Lindsay?
What's up, guys? I'm making a little bit of, I don't know if you can see this.
It's a hot dog.
It's zucchini, squiggles, whatever you call that, on my.
You got a squiggle machine?
Yeah. See that?
Yeah.
Cool, right?
You're making like vegetable pasta, that kind of thing?
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's healthy.
You're muted, Randy. Randy's muted. Ed, Randy's muted.
Randy, did you mute yourself? No, you muted yourself.
There
There you go.
There you go.
All right. I was going to say, it looks like we have Ron Popeil on the show here.
That's it. That's what we got to do. No, you know what we got to do? We're talking about ideas for the show, right? We got to have Dave Lindsay do the Dave Lindsay Minute, where he does like a cooking show
Cooking
as
with
part of the
Dave.
show. Like, let's see what's coming in the kitchen in the studio. You know,
I think he
I
just
like
spelled
that.
cutlery
So
because that's a hell of a fucking knife he's got there. That thing's like a machete,
Well, I was listening just for the last few minutes, and I heard Randy's question about the show, and I know Ed, you had sent that out a few weeks back saying, ideas, and exactly what you guys are talking about, and what you said, Ed, to me, this is the most beneficial part of the show, and the
It's
most
fun.
enjoyable
Yeah.
to me is just bullshitting with everybody, seeing how everybody's doing. I agree that as the weather gets warmer and Corona's going down and people are getting out back to normal activities and playing gigs, Hopefully, we'll be doing more of that, socializing in person.
Right.
So
it's also a great way to plug stuff, like
Yes.
you got an upcoming show or you just had a show and you want to talk about it. That it's a good way to do that. So the idea is that instead of having it just be like, okay, if you're coming on the show, you kind of, if you play guitar or piano, you've got to sing a song. Maybe forget it, forget that requirement, but still have music if you want to do music,
But and you have to. I say you because it's your show. You have to build an audience, and a thought would be, we've been blabbering on here forever. I've loved it all, but if you took the best minute and a half of Bill's playing, my wise ass lines, your wise ass lines, and just here's what you missed on Jam TV last week. It's 90 seconds,
right, of
the good shit. Forget the 3 hours of bullshit. That's not funny.
Unfortunately, you had to wait through 3 hours of bullshit to get
That's
the 90.
He does. He's got to sit there with a marker like a stopwatch. Okay, that was good. Oh no, that's not. But I mean, seriously, if you did that and all of us send it around to all of our contacts list, please join.
But even more than that, if you make the show instead of being a hang, this show has been a hang.
Absolutely.
Okay, there's COVID and we got no place to go, so let's go hang there. Instead of being that, it can actually be a show with new people on every week, and then they're going to bring their friends into the show, and they're going to bring their crowd into the show. Right now, it's become us chickens, all us chickens, doing what we do. And that's awesome. But I think the idea of taking it more into inviting a band, for example, I have this one woman, she's a singer in a band in Long Island, very accomplished band out there. And she'd been talking about coming on. And I'm like, you know what? Come on when you have a band rehearsal and play a song. And it's I think that's intimidating for a lot of people. It's that just sounds like we're going to mess it up.
I have a side question on that. I've tried many times, when Rough Dog, if somebody's here in the basement, to come on your show live. And it always sounds like ass. Is there any way to make the sound it's not my iPhone? Because I've sent you videos where I've recorded on my iPhone. And
there is, but you're not prepared to do it. It's hard. It's hard to get good sound mixing for the because you always got some guy chopping zucchini in the background.
That's the editor.
Hey, whatever happened with the with that other software that allows the live.
I'm still working on that. I've been doing a little traveling and busy, but I'm working on that.
That's that's another offshoot, right?
That's a cool angle, yeah.
Because
I'm working on that.
And I purposely told the band not too loud, otherwise it'll just be splatter. It'll suck.
It's so really hard when you loud.
But then I hear it on your show, and it's it sounds like ass.
It's it's all right. And the phone is falling down or vibrating.
Well, that's different. That's a whole other thing. Yeah. All right. Well, let's continue this discussion at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's so I'm going to play a video. My good friend Rebecca Johnson, who she was going to come on the show tonight, but she couldn't be on the show. And
check her out.
Great, cool version. Check this out. Stick around. Check this out.
This is your
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
and it's as if they have a sign in front of them saying, "Pay no attention to the band."
Right. It reminds me of that videos where like the first violin at the symphony or world famous guy goes in the subway and plays for free and nobody listens, you know, and the next night it's $200.
No, she's fucking amazing.
I mean, she's phenomenal, but you know, it's funny you hear that, and the only thing I'm missing is a little bit of background vocals. That's the only thing. Other than that, you know, it's like this. You know, I've looked at a lot of, you know, I play a lot of songs like from the '90s that I've just sort of rearranged and stuff. It's just a fucking song. You know, it doesn't have to be done like it's the Bible.
All that.
You know, it's a fucking song. You know, and they took that song. They connected so much of the stuff that you're familiar with, so that even the most anal person would sit there and go like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like, you know, Peg." But they made it their own. They did it with 3 people. That's phenomenal. I mean, that's really great.
That's phenomenal. They swung it like it's got this bumpy, groovy.
Drummer ain't bad either, you know.
No shit, really. And you should hear the version. She does Sledgehammer too, and not too shabby.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a cool tune to do. Sledgehammer. That's a British
I
tune.
do it. I've just started doing it. I have to detune my round one strings to it. Yeah, I caught that little fucking comment in the middle of that.
Do a Tony Levin kind of thing on that.
It's Tony, absolutely, fuck-salutely, as they say.
Well, you know, it's like Sledgehammer is a great, you know, it's a great example of a song that Peter Gabriel wrote to emulate, you know, a soul song, and you could flip it the other way and take his song and play it more like a soul song. You know, like
absolutely.
You know, it's like you play it straight up like it's just a fucking R&B classic. You know,
the groove in it is very R&B like. You're right, and of course Tony makes it hard to imitate.
Hey Bill, were you in a Steely Dan band a couple years ago with Stu Starr and
I was.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're still in existence. They were called Logical Pretzel, and
Logical Pretzel. Yeah,
they're still in existence. And they're, you know, they're very good, and now, you know, they've added some girl singers and they've done some other stuff, and they're, you know, they're very slavish to the, you know, to the original, and you know, my replacement is much better at you know, coming within sniffing.
Being precise, a surgeon of
that's right.
Yeah.
No, but it's, you know, but it, you know, when you get down to it, it's just a fucking song. You know, it's like it's just music, it's just a song, and if you like the song, you know, there's a lot of songs of theirs that you know, they're just fucking songs.
And 9 out of 10 people walking into the places we all play aren't looking to hear it just like the record. They can play the fucking record if they want to hear that.
I agree 100% with that.
You can't, you know.
Speaking of which, did you do your Grateful Dead show, Dave?
We did, yeah. We were at the warehouse. It was great. We had like an ice storm that night.
Oh, so, that night. Like, my gig got canceled that night. Shit.
Yeah.
Where were you?
It was good. What's that, Randy?
Where were you?
The warehouse in Fairfield.
Nice. Good for you.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to play on that stage where I've seen, you know, so many great bands play. But it was a fun night. We still had a pretty good turnout considering the weather was really bad.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very cool. You got a bunch of other gigs coming up?
We got some stuff, yeah. Well, where we saw you on last Saturday, right?
With the British Legends of Rock show. That's the name of the band. That's the name of the band. British Legends of Rock show.
Right. Well, you know that Alan and Greg, those are my old bandmates from the Straight Jackets.
Absolutely, yep.
All right. So we played Sugar Hollow in early December, and we're back there in about a few weeks.
Oh, cool.
Great. And then we've got starting up some other stuff. Yeah. And I think this is not official, but I'm pretty sure we've got Breeze Park back for the summer.
That's good.
Cool. Good for you.
So
good for us.
Hopefully, you know, that's gonna be alive and kicking as well.
I'm glad to hear that. That's great.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody, I don't remember who it was. And they were saying that you were thinking, Ed, about doing something at the boat club again. Is that Something live?
No, that is not official in any way. It's not even a rumor. I'm the first. I've never even heard that rumor.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
No, I
Excellent.
have been thinking of getting a jam going again, but like literally 2 weeks ago, I was like, nope, COVID's around. I'm not doing it. It's just all of a sudden went gone,
Yeah.
So mask mandates are dropping. It's like it's over for a while.
Yeah.
Till
Norwalk
next
is
year.
gone tonight. Tonight's the end of the Norwalk mask.
Right.
Oh, is it?
So,
Yeah.
I've thought about getting a jam together, but I'm working on. I've got a duo that I'm going to be doing with a guitar player singer, and I've got a bunch of things cooking. I want to see where that lands. To be honest with you, I really want to do it at Bobby Q's because I feel so at home there, and so everybody felt so good there. So I'm not jumping at like, all right, let me go find whatever venue. I want to do it right. And I want to know that people will come and that that it's providing a service that everybody really wants to do it.
Yeah.
Before I just jump into it. So
No, I'm just telling you what I heard. That's all.
yeah.
It would be great if somehow Bobby Q's could happen again. It would be great. I mean,
Yeah, that's the idea. So
and to me, it's like not only happen like on the level of you putting something on, but if it could help stimulate Bobby Q's a little,
right, but they're not even open there. They're open for takeout, only.
Really?
And so,
Still?
yeah, and so they're not ready. There were staffing problems, and what if they opened a couple months ago? Now there's COVID again, and so
They'd
they're
be
like,
fucked. Yeah.
they have to staff up. They have to get all the
Staffing's
waiters
tough
and
for everybody right now. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
So, but that could loosen up now as things come back. I think this summer could be busier for the music. Like it won't be like last summer. All due respect to everybody that played was a little bit half-assed because like restaurants didn't want to have bands inside and then people didn't want to go inside without masks. And this summer, I feel like it's going to be more normal.
Yeah.
Fucking hope so.
Unless something new comes down the pike,
Right. I mean, I'm at Sugar Hollow with that
jinx
band.
it.
I'm in McDuff's in Greenwich. Or no masks. Everybody's like, "Fuck it, it's over." So I want it to be back there. So that it feels like it's the good old days. Then I'll bring it
McDuff
down.
is a bit like the duck, like it's kind of like the petri dish of venues, like where
I've said that. Yeah.
where bacteria can live and thrive and grow and
People are
mingle
on
with
top of
humans.
each other, yelling and screaming on top of each other.
Although if I'd have had a car, I would have done it tonight if I'd have had a car.
Still, the car.
I did an open mic last night at Joey C's Boathouse in Stratford. It was good. That's a little more cavernous. That's got a higher ceiling and more room on the inside. And at its height, maybe 30 people ish. I want to say.
Yeah.
Is that the place that's under the throughway, kind of?
Yeah, exactly.
On the water, under. Yeah.
Just like the duck, everything has to be underneath the throughway bridge.
Yeah. I played there as a solo once.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Very cool. Well, gentlemen, I think we put a cork in episode 99, and next week my birthday is Wednesday, and we're doing the 100th show on Thursday. So I hope you guys like it.
You going to be up here or in Pennsylvania?
I'm going to be in Connecticut.
Where?
Maybe we'll do it at your house.
Do it. I can do it.
All right, I'm open to ideas for next Thursday. But that sounds like fun.
What's the date?
Have any
March
requests?
Let me look.
3-2, right? March 2nd. So.
All right.
The show is the 3rd. No, the show's the 3rd. Thursday the 3rd. So. Or is the band room open Thursday the 3rd?
I'm about to look. I have a bunch of shit coming up. I'm serious.
Hold on. Let me check my 1,000 messages on my phone to see
Hey,
when
Beavis, that's not me. Settle down, Beavis. It's not fucking me doing that.
My phone. I'm driving down the highway and it's like. Bing,
I'm
bing,
actually.
bing, bing,
I'm
bing.
booked to play the Wendy Jam next week.
There you go. That's it.
All right.
My birthday. All right, gents. Well, good to see you all. Bill Nolan, you made it through the entire
Look
show.
at that. You must be starving.
I am actually. I'm pretty hungry.
I got zucchini and salmon, Bill. If you want to stop by.
You're hitting me where I live right there, man.
I got a good bottle of Chardonnay to go with that.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds.
I might just have like another shot at tequila and then just hope that I pass out before I.
Yeah.
That could work too.
All right, I'll see you guys soon next week. End of JMTV show 99, and see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.
That was quite a show.
We're out of drop now.